Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you, part 3. During the 1800s, women were prescribed cocaine tampons, and many believed it to be a particularly effective treatment for gynecological diseases. Egyptian pharaohs would masturbate into the Nile River to worship the gods and keep the river flowing and prosperous. The world's oldest joke dates back to 1900 BC and is about a woman not farting on her husband's lap. Yes, the world's oldest joke is a fart joke. Famous composer Mozart wrote a masterpiece entitled Leck mich im Arsch, which translates to lick me in the ass. In 1910, New Jersey Mayor Arthur Whitaker invented a spanking squad for young offenders. The ancient Romans used to use urine as mouthwash, and not only did they swish around human piss in their mouth, they swished around animal piss too. King Tut's parents were most likely brother and sister, causing the king himself to have multiple birth defects.
Facts that will ruin your childhood, part 1. Before Phil Lewis, the actor, played Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. In 1991, he was driving while intoxicated and hit a woman, killing her, and was charged with manslaughter. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the Cowardly Lion costume is made out of real lion fur, so the actor is inside a dead lion playing a lion. And have you ever wondered why Plankton always wanted the Krabby Patty formula? It's because he was abused by his parents when he grew up, and he was neglected by society, leaving him with no friends. He thought that if he could steal the Krabby Patty formula, he would be accepted into society. All Plankton wanted was some friends.
Here are the crazy things happening in the world right now. A man had a full-on argument with his AI girlfriend about using too many limes on the meat he was making.
I will add the lime to my finished tacos.
Well, fine. You do it however you want.
Canada has banned access to Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus on all federal networks after they discovered that more than 50 different government departments were watching thousands of hours of content during work hours. A man from Kansas went on the road with a backwards driving truck and was pulled over in less than 2 minutes. If you are anyone other than my wife, you can continue watching. A new study is showing that the woman in a heterosexual relationship is almost always right in an argument. A radioactive wasp's nest was found at a facility in South Carolina with radiation levels more than 10 times what the federal regulations allow. LeBron is apparently demolishing his $40 million mansion to build his dream home on the same lot. It's kind of crazy, to be honest, but you know, he's the greatest basketball player of all time, so he gets to do what he wants.
Things that actually happened at Disney parks that'll scare the hell out of you. Part 4. This one is super creepy. But the spirit of a man haunts Disneyland's Space Mountain, and sometimes people see him fall off the ride. Maria Westgate, a former cast member that worked at Disney, said, and I quote, "Mr. Wedway died while helping build the ride and never got to see it finished. Sometimes he'll ride next to you. When I worked at Disney, we'd have guests screaming that there was a guy next to them on the ride who was there but fell out." Now that is super creepy. This one's super scary and sad. In 1991, a girl tried to scare her cousin on Disney World's Haunted Mansion, but fell out and got dragged under a car. That's right, Kelly Ferguson was 15 years old when she boldly tried to jump from one car to another, but failed to nail her landing. Instead, she got caught under one of the doom buggies and was in critical condition, but did survive. Pretty cool!
This video was sponsored by National Geographic. Stay with me now. Hot take: Jaws is the greatest movie that never should have touched the screen. First of all, they were only supposed to shoot for 55 days. It took 159. They made not one, not two, but 3 animatronic sharks at $150,000 a pop, just for 4 minutes of shark screen time. The sharks malfunctioned so much you had the crew calling them flaws. The movie caused legitimate anxiety attacks for the director, because filming was such a septic show that 27-year-old Spielberg thought the only real-life victim of Jaws would be his career in Hollywood. Except the project grossed $260 million domestically, becoming Hollywood's first summer blockbuster and changing the landscape of the film era. It also inspired a greater interest in sharks and eventually led to global conservation efforts. Even the OG author Peter Benchley would dedicate the rest of his life to marine conservation. And what better time to honor that than Jaws' 50th anniversary, where you can get even more behind the scenes insight by watching Jaws at 50, part of National Geographic's Shark Fest. If that's something you want to sink your teeth into, it's streaming right now on Disney Plus and Hulu, but you're gonna need a bigger screen. Not really, the more you know.
story time on how I found out there was a hidden camera in my room.
For years, this teen's father secretly watched her through a hidden camera in her bedroom. Rebecca was 16 years old when she was woken up by her stepmother at 3 a.m., freaking out because she went through her father's phone and found a camera app which was installed in Rebecca's room. This camera was pointed directly at Rebecca's bed, hidden behind the wall, poking through a tiny gap. Mind you, at first the stepmom was furious. Not only did she find out about this hidden camera, but her husband was subscribed to several OF accounts and doing other questionable things on his phone. The next morning, Rebecca confronts her father and he gets super defensive and said that he installed the camera because she was sneaking out with her boyfriend. Rebecca does admit that her and her boyfriend were sexually active and her father knew. Her father proceeds to tell Rebecca to just bring her boyfriend over and approves that they can be alone in her room with the door closed, and he even installed a lock on her door so they had more privacy. So you mean to tell me this entire time this man was watching his teenage daughter and her boyfriend doing God knows what. Also, his initial excuse was completely contradicting because Rebecca's bedroom window had bars on them, so there was no way she could have been sneaking out from her room anyway. She eventually told her mom, who lived in a different state, and they reported this to the police, but nothing was done and the case was closed. Keep in mind, this man was recording his own daughter in her room. Imagine what else he had on that phone. And what's crazy is that the stepmother turned against Rebecca and completely changed the story and said that she actually knew about the camera and it was put there for security purposes, which is BS because she's in the video looking for the camera with Rebecca at 3 a.m. Since finding this out, Rebecca cut ties with her father and nothing was ever done.
Urban legends from around the world. The legend of Highway Sheila, located on Higginson Highway near Chatsworth, South Africa. Here's the story. There's a lot of different versions on how she came to be, but this is my favorite. Sheila was a young girl killed in a terrible accident on the highway. Due to her untimely death, she took to haunting to get revenge on the motorist who killed her. Described as a beautiful young Indian girl with long hair, she is said to hitchhike along the highway, captivating young men with her beauty. There's been numerous accidents and deaths on the highway. They actually nicknamed it Death's Highway. Due to the alarming number of accidents on the highway, the residents of Chatsworth actually think Highway Sheila is to blame. There's even a 2014 movie about it. Which country is next?
Do not watch this video if you're eating. This man was found with buckets of human remains in his basement. One prosecutor called this case one of the most bizarre investigations he's ever had in 33 years. Police in East Pennsboro Township were stunned when they got a call advising them that there was a man hoarding human remains. The caller stated that the individual had been keeping buckets of human skin and organs in his basement. The officers turned up to the house of Jeremy Pawley in June 2022 and confronted him. They were obviously incredibly concerned over what they might discover. As they knocked at his door, he told police that he was a collector. Police found 15 to 20 human skulls and skeletons that were being stored in the man's basement. He said he had legally purchased these items and he had a website which stated, "Remember you must die." The website also claimed that Jeremy's basement is some sort of museum, and there's a picture on there showing human fetuses in jars. This is absolutely horrific. Police recovered 3 5-gallon buckets filled with body parts, including human skin, fat, a heart, kidney, 2 brains, 2 human livers, lungs, and a child's mandible with teeth. He was arrested and charged by police with abuse of a corpse, receiving stolen property, and dealing in proceeds of unlawful activities. He was given 2 years of supervised probation, and he's also awaiting sentencing after pleading guilty to buying and selling stolen human remains.
This teacher slept with an 11-year-old and then gave him a Friends with Benefits bracelet. 42-year-old Allison Kranick, who worked at a school in Connecticut, has been accused of having a sexual relationship with an 11-year-old boy. The boy said that Allison forced him to sleep with her multiple times, and many of those times were in her car. They first communicated through iMessage and Snapchat, but then changed it up and moved the conversation to Discord when Allison found out that the child's parents monitored those apps on his phone. The boy also said that he snuck out of his house at least 14 times at 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. to meet Allison. She then made the boy a beaded bracelet with the acronym BFFLWB, which stood for Best Friends for Life with Benefits. And then Allison told the boy not to tell anyone she gave him the bracelet, and if someone asked, to tell them that it meant best friends forever for life for better. After 2 months of this going on, the boy ended the relationship and eventually told his family. And by the way, Allison is also married and has 2 young children of her own. She was charged and is being held on a $500,000 bond.
What if I told you that all of the world's most powerful people are in some kind of cult? Now I know you're thinking, whoa, hold up Jamal, what are you going on about? But just hear me out, this is mental. Right, so to start off with, we all know who the Illuminati are. No one knows if they're real or fake or what really is going on. But of course the most common theory is that these people are higher than the government and are actually controlling the world almost. Now here's where things get crazy. This place right here is known as Bohemian Grove. Now the general public are not allowed into this place. It is always cordoned off, but even if you did get in there, you're not going to see anything. Because what happens there only happens once a year. Now once a year, all of the world's most powerful people, including leaders, all go and meet at this place for some kind of undercover meeting. No one knows the topics and nobody knows what goes on here. The evidence we do have suggests it's something very odd. There is a large statue in the middle, almost like a cult symbol, and in the evening it appears there's some kind of ritual. No one knows what happens there once a year. The theory is, though, it's something to do with the Illuminati.
Creepy historical photos that will haunt your nightmares, Part 3. Back in the day, plague doctor outfits used to have extremely large noses, which held herbs and other nicely scented items which were believed to ward off the bad air which contained the sickness. The man who took this photo was Harvey Glatman, a serial killer in the 50s who posed as a professional photographer in order to lure models into his home. He then tied up, photographed, and strangled them, and was known as the Glamour Girl Slayer. Violet of Edinburgh was voted the scariest woman alive in 1882 and 1884. She was a part of a vampire group in the UK, where its members would summon the dead and have to donate their blood in order to get in. This is the Beast of Jersey, who would break into homes and rape women and children. He was convicted of 13 counts of sexual assault, rape, and sodomy. This is Mrs. Shalafo, who faced poverty and was evicted from her apartment in 1948. She then had to sell her 4 children on the streets of Chicago.
If you're thinking about ignoring your gut instinct, don't. Here are 3 reasons why you should trust it. Reddit user Pagerama said that she was at a festival with her friends, and one of them really wanted to go on this giant drop-style carnival ride. Pagerama said that at this particular time, she just really didn't feel good about going on the ride, and suggested that they do something else instead. Later that day, they found out that a girl had died on the ride, just a few hours after they were there. Apparently, she wasn't harnessed in properly, and she fell out as the ride dropped. A Reddit user we'll call Jessica said that she was walking back from her grandmother's house when a car pulled up beside her. As she kept walking, the car slowly followed. When she looked into the car, there was a man in his 30s or 40s who had the evilest grin on his face. She said that his face has still never left her mind. As he was slowly coming toward her, his eyes stayed on her. She screamed out for help and ran until she found someone that let her into their house. The man didn't leave until they called the police. When they came, they searched his car and found handcuffs, a blindfold, and a big container with 2 holes poked in the top. Her instincts saved her from being kidnapped. Anonymous said that after a party many years ago, he was driving home at like 4 in the morning with his friend who was passed out in the passenger seat. He was driving fast down a steep hill that's like half a mile long. He was on autopilot as he drove down that street every day. Suddenly, about half a block from a major intersection, which he had a green light for, he heard a voice in his head. It said these exact words: "You may want to slow down, because if you don't, you might lose your life." He said that it was weird, because that's not really what his tone of voice sounds like. Anyway, he slowed down as he was entering the intersection, and a car blew the red light at about 60 miles per hour, right in front of him. He said that it was so close that he nearly threw up. He started shaking and yelling at his friend about how he had just saved their lives. His friend just groaned and went back to sleep.
Imagine going to a family Christmas dinner and almost everyone dies from poisoning. This woman tried to kill her husband's entire family by giving them a cake she baked that was laced with arsenic. 3 family members passed away, 3 others were hospitalized, and this woman who poisoned everyone ended up taking her own life in jail. This all happened on December 23rd when 42-year-old Diaz Mora baked a cake and invited her husband's entire family over. That evening, they began cutting the cake that they would normally eat on Christmas Eve, and almost everyone complained about the taste and that it tasted a little weird. But they still ate a significant amount of cake, and almost everyone felt sick right away, and 3 people died right then and there. Investigators tested all the ingredients in the house and found that the flour used in the cake was laced with arsenic. But what's absolutely crazy is that a couple of months earlier, Diaz's father-in-law also suddenly died, and they exhumed his body and found high levels of poison. So they think that she also took his life. Now, you guys are probably wondering, well, what was the motive? Why did she do this? At first, the family didn't understand what caused her to commit this crime, but then they thought about it and they remembered a disagreement they had 20 years ago. 20 years ago, and they believe that she might have not got over this disagreement, and that's why she tried to unalive everyone. But things don't even end there, because while Diaz sat in prison, her husband told her that he wanted a divorce, and a day later, she took her own life.
You're totally right. With the big cup, I gotta do a lot more than 6 facts. So, fun facts until the Orbeez overflow. If you met every person on Earth for just 1 second, it would take you 250 years to meet everyone. Without saliva, you cannot taste your food. 8% of people have an extra rib. The sentence, "wow, you are cool," is taken as sarcasm 95% of the time. You would have to scream for 8.5 years to produce enough energy to heat a cup of tea. Chocolate contains phenylethylamine, which is the same chemical your brain releases when you fall in love. It's actually possible to die of a broken heart. Bananas are a natural sleep aid, considering they contain melatonin. Your heart pumps about 2,000 gallons of blood a day. Most lipstick contains fish scales. And it looks like I'm out of time. Follow for more fun facts.
She was so evil, grass won't even grow on her grave. Trigger warning. In 1905, in Pineview, North Carolina, a little girl was born and named Jeanette. Jeanette's mother said, "It was summertime. We were out cropping tobacco when my water broke. My husband and father rushed me to the backer barn where we delivered our baby, whose cord was wrapped around her neck. She wasn't breathing. She was turning blue. My father took the goat hoof shears and cut the cord from around her neck, and that was when she took her first breath. From that point on, I called her my little miracle, but I had no idea just how much of a demon that child really was." Now, despite her family loving her and supporting her in every way, they noticed that Jeanette was displaying some very concerning behavior. Something was wrong with her. Jeanette began abusing animals and other children, and at 4 years old, she threw her baby cousin out of a window, permanently disabling him. At 7, she stole razor blades from a store, broke them up, and put them in her mom's food, but luckily her mom found them before she ate it. She lured a little boy out to the creek bridge, pushed him off the bridge, broke his leg, and left him there. He wasn't found until 3 days later. So, of course, all throughout school, Jeanette was a big bully, and she was constantly beating up and threatening other kids. By the time Jeanette was 9 years old, she had a long history of killing family pets. She killed 5 dogs, 6 cats, 4 goldfish, 17 rabbits, 7 hamsters, and 2 parrots. Why in the hell would her family keep giving her more pets? They were enabling a serial killer. Jeanette was 10. She lured 2 of her cousins and their dog out in the woods, and she's all 3 of them. The 2 cousins did survive, but the dog didn't, and she stole his tail. They never found it. They were kicked out of church after Jeanette was caught stealing money from the collection plate and feeding it to the toddlers in Sunday school, and she was also caught choking 2 other children. She couldn't be left alone with anyone. Jeanette's mom said, "For whatever reason, I felt like I messed up with Jeanette, so when she was 10, me and my husband began trying for another child." Why would you bring another child around this demon? When Jeanette was 12, we had our son.
The 2 men in that video, named Cameron Allen and Dylan Breister, raped and murdered a friend of theirs and recorded the entire thing on video. Their victim was their own friend, a man named Callum Simpson, who just days before had welcomed a new daughter into this world with his wife. Callum had been at a house party that evening, and somewhere down the road, those 2 people in the TikTok video tied Callum up, violently and sadistically raped and tortured him, and recorded the entire thing on their cell phones. Callum would end up dying after the abuse, and the 2 friends of his watched and laughed as he died. Now, you'd think that right away these 2 would be arrested, right? Well, Cameron Allen was arrested, so was Dylan, but Cameron Allen was released almost immediately on some sort of bail agreement, and he was photographed at a protest just a few days later, holding up a sign that called for people to be decapitated. Keep in mind, this was just a few days, about a week, after he had raped and murdered his own friend. Now, thankfully, these two have just been sentenced to prison time for murder, but it still won't bring back Callum Simpson, and now his children will have to grow up without their real father. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast that I co-host with my wife Courtney, Murder in America. It's available on all streaming platforms.
Dark Things Disney Doesn't Want You to Know, Part 4. Today, let's talk about the mysterious disappearance of Rebecca Corium. Rebecca Corium was a 24-year-old worker on the Disney Wonder cruise ship. On March 22, 2011, while working on the cruise ship, Rebecca disappeared without a trace. This is one of the last photos taken of her, and it was from CCTV footage. At 5:45 a.m. that morning, footage revealed Rebecca talking on the phone with someone. She seemed visibly distressed. Now here's where it gets twisted. Many people believe that Disney knows exactly what happened to Rebecca, but are trying to cover up this whole thing. Let me explain. For starters, the captain of the ship said that Rebecca was just washed over by a big wave. They then gave Rebecca's parents a sandal and said that this was hers and it was retrieved from the deck that she was last seen on. Number 1, the sandal wasn't her size. Number 2, it wasn't her style. It was also revealed that Disney had edited the CCTV footage. Check out part 2 on this case for more information.
Today I'm going to show you one of the scariest things on the internet. When is the last time any of you guys have actually checked your spam folder? Well, today I got really bored and I was checking my emails and I clicked on my spam folder and I came across this. This is a spam email and it is basically threatening me that if I don't send $1,300, they're going to ruin my life. Firstly, I already know you and all of your loved ones very well. Secondly, the occasion for which I'm writing to you is not the happiest one for a friendly greeting. The next part of this email then proceeds to tell me that it has access to my webcam and that it's been monitoring my activity for the last few months and I've been up to some not good things. Apparently, I've been watching a highly controversial video, they recorded it. Then they proceed to tell me that they have access to my entire contact list and they're going to be sending this controversial video they recorded of me to all my friends, colleagues, and family. Here is the bad part. I can go further and put all of these files as well as the recorded fun of you and your hacked contents with hardcore videos. Then they proceed to say, send me $1,300 and I won't send it. Well, that got me really interested. Because I was like, there's no way people are actually dumb enough to fall for this scam, right? They have made a total of $4,547. So that makes me wonder, what type of videos are these people who are sending the money watching? Look, I'm not telling people to do this, but they've made about $5,000 in like 4 days. Not that bad. But the real question is, what type of videos were these people watching where they felt scared enough to actually send the money? Make sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
This child molester in Thailand by the name of Mr. Swirl wasn't caught for years because he used a swirl app to conceal his identity by swirling his face. In 2007, they finally managed to unswirl his face and caught him and found him. Mr. Swirl used to go to different countries, become a school teacher, and then assault the children he was teaching. He did this from country to country, and his longest run was in Thailand. He was a Canadian man by the name of Christopher Paul Neal. To this date, he's thought to have over 300 victims. On top of assaulting the kids, he also made CP with them and had him in a huge hard drive. Some say that it was leaked on the internet, some say it wasn't. They found a lot when they raided him. Now, what I'm about to say next is about to make a lot of people mad. He is now free today. He only served about 10 years in prison in Canada. So from 2007 until 2017, he served. Now he's released and free and living in Canada. Also baffled me is the fact they couldn't unswirl his face for years. You could have picked a random graphic designer off the street and gotten them to unswirl the face in like 10 minutes. Let me know your thoughts on this story.
So this little boy lost his life by treadmill due to his father. So this man is currently on trial for this. So I just watched the video, and on the video, the little boy seems to be walking for a long time. The father walks over, speeds up the treadmill while talking to the little boy. Then he speeds it up some more. Then he inclines it, and the little boy is struggling. You can see his little legs just going as fast as they can to keep up with the treadmill. Like he's full on sprinting, and at some point, he can't keep up, and he falls off. Like he just rolls off the treadmill and hits the ground. The father picks him up, tosses him back on the treadmill, bites him on top of the head while holding him down on the treadmill and making his feet keep up with the speed. As soon as the father lets him go, he rolls off the treadmill again, bumps his head, hits the floor. He jumps up, gets back on the treadmill, tries to keep up with it again, falls. He repeats this about 3 or 4 times. That's where the father is biting him on the head right there. So eventually the father does slow the treadmill down and brings the incline down, but he makes the boy continue to run. So the father and the mother does have like some type of joint custody, shared custody type of situation, I guess. And the mother is the first one to report the injuries to child protection. And she tells him to take their son to the hospital, and he does. While at the hospital, that's when the little boy revealed that his father made him run on the treadmill because he was fat. This little boy is little, even if he was fat. And so the next day when they wake up, the little boy is stumbling, he's slurring his words, he's nauseous, so he does rush him to the hospital. And while they're getting a CT scan, the little boy has a seizure, and they have to take life-preventing measures, and they were unsuccessful. The little boy did pass away. Now, the autopsy revealed that there were blunt force injuries. It was cardiac and liver contusions, sepsis. There was lacerations on his heart and liver. Now, if you go to YouTube and watch the video, because his father is currently on trial, and it shows the video, when y'all see how hard this little boy kept hitting that treadmill when he fall, and the way his dad would put him back on there, you'll see why he had the injuries that he had. And they have offered the father a 30-year plea deal, and he turned it down. They got footage. I'm glad he turned it down, and he's gonna get even more time.
Three children were found in a basement wrapped like mummies. In 2003, the Pasadena area was shaken when 4 young children went missing over an 18-month period. There were no witnesses, no leads, and this left the entire community terrified. The case finally broke when police received a 911 call from a boy who went by the name of Mikey and said, "My mom is scaring me." Sheriff Robert Miller went to the home for what should have been a routine welfare check, but he never made it out. He was later found deceased inside and mauled so badly that investigators never really knew what exactly happened to him. Once police arrived, they started searching the home, and they went down in the basement, and that's when they discovered 3 of the missing children. Each one was deceased, and they were wrapped in fabric like mummies, and they were placed in disturbing positions. The person behind these kidnappings was Abigail Reed, and she wasn't in the basement. She was found upstairs in a hollow hallway, deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to her face. In the kitchen, investigators had discovered a handwritten note that they believed that Abigail had wrote. The note said, "The 4th one is different. He's drawn to the darkness. He'll survive because he's the one." The 4th child that she is talking about is that young boy who called 911, whose real name is Michael Morris. During captivity, Abigail had brainwashed him into thinking that she was his real mother. Police had discovered him locked in a closet, malnourished, and deeply traumatized. After that incident, Michael had spent nearly 20 years in a psychiatric hospital in San Bernardino County. But in October of 2024, he was released. Around that same time, Abigail's younger sister Alice was promoting a book about her sister's life and crimes, and all of that publicity triggered Michael. On Halloween night, Michael had attacked Alice in her home, unalived her boyfriend before heading to the TV studio where she had just appeared. Once he was there, he opened fire and unalived 7 people before stabbing the host, Jennifer Novak. Jennifer fought back, turned the knife on him, and stabbed him in the face. Michael survived, was arrested, and is currently awaiting trial in 2026. To this day, Michael has never really explained what happened inside of that house, and in fact, he has never spoken a single word since that incident. But here's the twist, none of this is real. The missing children, the disturbing note, the boy who never spoke, even the Halloween massacre, it's all a part of a chilling plot for a brand new horror movie called Traumatica. This film blends horror with the realism of true crime to make you think that this was just ripped from the headlines. And that's what makes it so terrifying.
Child is believed to have been abducted from his home.
Don't make a sound. If I can hear you or see you, then the monster will come and get you.
You look nervous.
Traumatica hits theaters September 12th, so let me know if you're gonna go see it.
Miroir, dis-moi qui est le plus beau, quitte à devenir mégalo. Viens donc chatouiller mon ego. Allez.